few minutes.
That's all right. That happened.
Well, it's wonderful to finally sort of meet you by phone.
Yes. The earliest of introductions other than digital.
That's right. So I just wanted to kind of get a chance to chat with you some about Nashcon and about y'all's rule set and all of that. So give me just 1 second. I'll pull up some of my questions I had written down and we'll get to it.
Sounds terrific.
Good deal. So for starters, just give me kind of an idea of what got you into miniature wargaming to begin with.
I don't know. It's probably kind of a boring story. The short of it is that I went on a trip out to the East Coast when I was in maybe 6th or 7th grade. Family vacation sort of thing. My father had some relatives living out there, and we didn't travel much as a family when I was a kid.
Sure.
So this was kind of a unique opportunity, and my father was very excited about it because there's all this stuff on the East Coast that his son ought to see, sort of thinking.
Yeah.
And so he makes this list of stuff that we ought to go to, and we ought to make sure we go and see the Liberty Bell and spend time in Philadelphia and here and there. And on the list was Gettysburg.
Right.
And we go to Gettysburg, which I didn't know what Gettysburg was. I'm 12 at this point.
Sure.
And I was generally interested in history, but I had no depth or understanding of history. It was just like, the neat things have happened.
Sure. Yeah.
And so we go out there and we spend a day walking and driving around the battlefield and going through the now old museum that's been replaced there. And I was just absolutely enamored. This was, I don't know why, as a 12-year-old, that this fascinated me, but it did. And when I got back, he and I, my father and I, had always made models as a kid.
Yeah.
Mostly stuff like, who made all of those? Testers?
Yeah, the testers kits, yeah.
Yeah, and so, we'd have, I loved military aircraft, and so, we'd put together, glue together and snap together F-14s and stuff like that. So anyway, I get back from this trip, and now I want to make dioramas of battlefields. And you've been out there, right?
I'll tell you, it's been a while, but one of the things that amazes me about really any Civil War battlefield you go to is that seems to be the one place where dioramas are still a major part of history.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, they're amazing.
The presentation of them are amazing. And at the time, that old light map room was still there. Yeah. And I thought that was the coolest thing in the entire world. You sit around and it felt like a big room. I have no idea. I was short.
Everything's a big room.
Yeah, exactly. It's just immense. And watching this, and it was such a clear illustration of what happened and when. And so I became just focused on maps and models and dioramas. And so I'm hunting around trying to find how I can buy model soldiers of the American Civil War. And I find, catalogs of, I don't know who were making these tall, probably 54 millimeter sort of scale stuff. It wasn't really aimed at wargaming or anything like that. They were, computer scale models for display sort of thing.
Right.
And at 12, I'm mowing the lawn and washing the car and cleaning the garage in order to raise money to figure out how I'm going to do this. And they're all expensive as get out. And I find myself in in a gaming store outside the Twin Cities here in Minnesota, where just on a lark, because I keep calling around looking for more places that has more options so that this becomes more feasible.
Right.
And I bump into this guy named Scott Allen, who I think now lives down in Texas. And he explains to me very, very clearly, no, you don't want to build dioramas.
Right.
That's not what you want to do. You want to play war games. What are war games? And it goes from there. And so I end up leaving that shop with an Old Glory 15s bag of Iron Brigade figures and a copy of Johnny Reb.
That's awesome.
I was off and running. That was my introduction to wargaming. And here we are, decades later.
That's right. Here you are. And still in 15 millimeter, but a little bit different era of history.
Yeah.
So tell me this, what is it that at this point, you kind of, I think, alluded to it in just the story that you told, which I don't think is boring at all. It reminds me of a lot of stories of how people get into wargaming. But tell me a little bit about why is it that wargaming has gotten to the point where, it's a business for you?
Well, the going into business was sort of a confluence of events. It was sort of a perfect storm that allowed that to occur.
Okay.
I was, everybody who spends any time wargaming starts putzing around writing rules and stuff. That's just part of the hobby.
It's just the nature of being in the hobby, right? You can
right. And so, to say that got me into it wouldn't really be true at all, because I have been doing that just like everybody else has, and now I've launched some sort of commercial enterprise.
Right.
But in my past career life, I had worked in the tech industry.
Okay.
I worked in some systems administration and support jobs, and eventually landed at Apple. And I was at Apple for the better part of a decade. I did a variety of things there. I started out in their Apple Care division, and later I worked in worldwide operations quality and did a variety of different things. But the thing about Apple that I took away was how they approached markets and products.
Right.
Not like major, holy cow, the wargaming company is trying to be what to wargaming what Apple is to phones or computers or whatever. That's silly. But that there are some fundamentals that are very, very ingrained and obvious there that you can see in a variety of businesses in different areas that are successful in those specific pursuits. The way that you differentiate product, what you choose to make.
Right.
So, for instance, the stuff that we make is stuff that we wish that we had.
Right.
That is difficult to go find.
Right.
Or you can't go find because no one makes it. Or they make it, but they actually make it as it's 4 different products from 3 different manufacturers. And you buy your chunks for this and your chunks for that, and you add some of your own little home kit work, and then in the end you kind of have the thing that you want. And that is fine for many. But it is a hole that doesn't exist in most mature markets.
Yeah, wargaming is one of the few markets where there's still a lot of legwork on the part of the consumer.
Yes, a phenomenal amount. And I don't think that's bad. A lot of people like that they can do that because it is a hobby. I make toothpick fences still when I'm doing rain fences. I like doing that. I'm not going to go buy have fences just because I like the process of making them, and I like the output that they give me.
Sure.
And I've spent hours and hours, just like anybody else, before we got into this venture, poring over books and maps and things, and I'm laying on the floor in the living room, and I've got every paper and books just stacked all around me.
Right.
Because I need little pieces of information from all of it in order to try and put together some scenario that I'm investigating doing, because I still don't know whether or not it's practical. Sure, because I don't have all the pieces.
And there's an element of that that's still that 12-year-old kid standing in the map room in Gettysburg.
Yes, entirely. And I think that is why so many people who wargame like that facet. You know, it's that part of it doesn't age with you. It stays young.
Absolutely.
And so at the same time, the converse of that is that if you are not, if you're not one of those people, if you're not, if you find that to be a turnoff rather than an excitement,
right,
then that makes the hobby a lot smaller.
Yeah, or if you're like me, a young dad of 3 kids, and I just don't have the time that I would like to put into that, but I still want to wargame.
Yes.
It's helpful to have a little bit more user-friendly elements of the hobby sometimes.
I've got quite a few friends who wargame, and they're towards the younger end of wargaming. I'm towards the younger end of wargaming.
Right.
But their lives don't have all that much leisure in it. And so the idea of laying around with all the books and doing it is very, very exciting and totally unrealistic for them.
Exactly.
They simply, it's not something, you know, there are people who don't want to do that because that's not the part of the hobby that they're into. But there are also people, like you say, who would love to do that, but they're not going to sacrifice the other important things in their life for that.
Right.
And so we're trying to be more facilitative of keeping those people in the hobby, and as well as making products that encourage people who simply aren't into piecing all of it together by themselves, that we can take away that roadblock.
Right. So how does the wargaming company do that?
Well, we're trying to fill holes.
Right.
So, and we started with Napoleonics, and we have plans for some other things as well. But Napoleonics is a problematic period.
It is.
We have, speaking as somebody who's very invested in the Napoleonic period, we have a lot of baggage,
right,
in all possible areas. You know, there are more books written about Napoleon than about Christ. And so...
And everyone takes their favorite book as the Bible.
Yes, exactly. And there is a nearly infinite variation of uniforms and such. You know, the American Civil War, you want to get into the American Civil War, it's not too hard. You know, do some brown and gray mix on some figures and do some blue mix on some figures, and it's difficult to be very wrong.
Right.
You can get a lot more precise and accurate, but you're going to be in the ballpark. Right. And that's not true with Napoleonics. It's worse than the 7 Years' War because there's so many transitions that occur in it. And so I guess we look around at what other companies are doing that we're not necessarily fans of the companies,
right,
but we look at it and go, how is what they are doing, and some of them we do like, but what is it that they're doing that part of our hobby is missing out on that they could benefit from? So I'll take Battlefront.
Right.
As far as wargaming operations go, Battlefront is ridiculously successful, right? I mean,
right.
Take the average size wargaming company organization and compare it to Battlefront, it's like your local credit union versus Wells Fargo.
Right.
And I'm not a big Battlefront guy. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It just doesn't happen. Flames of War doesn't happen to be my taste in World War II wargaming.
Sure.
But there's a lot of positives to be taken away from both their product and their business model.
Right.
There's some negatives too. You know, they do a little bit too much revising and constant new, and that can be difficult for the average wargamer goes, I don't really want to buy that book a third time.
Right.
And that's a pretty fair criticism, but they also do some really positive things. You can go buy kits.
Right.
Everything you need is in the kit.
Right.
You can, the books are of high production value. They are of consistent layout. What struck me as very strange, I guess it's not strange. It makes a lot of sense because World War II is a phenomenally popular period all over the world.
Right.
And so from a business standpoint, it was really, really good. But it struck me that World War II didn't really need its problems solved.
Right.
It was an accessible period to wargamers. It was an accessible period to amateur historians. You can find World War II histories fairly comprehensively in just about any Western or Eastern major language family. You can, whatever it is that you speak and read, you can find stuff about this.
Did you say a lot of popular movies that are available, even if you don't want to go the written word direction with it? The number of documentaries and movies that are out there on World War II is incredible.
And a lot of them are really good.
Yeah.
It's not just the Red Badge of Courage, the American Civil War stuff. There's really good World War II documentaries and films. So, and a lot of it is just not very difficult. You know, the Germans wear some version of camo or gray, and the Americans wear some version of green.
Right.
And the Russians wear a different version of green.
And the British wear a different version of green or brown. The British.
But all those things that wargamers need to piece together, maps and orders of battle and scenario plans on different scales and all of that are really, really accessible to the average person.
Yes.
And that's not true in the Napoleonic Wars.
Not even remotely.
Right. The only period that might be worse might be ancient. And ancients at least benefits from the fact that lots of it we'll just never know.
Right.
Versus the Napoleonic Wars, it's there. We just don't know where in the haystack.
Right.
And so we set out to make products that made that more accessible. I think I've probably got somewhere around 4,000 uniform plates.
Wow.
In different collections from paintings that Keith Rocco does to old stuff and Fukin and stuff from the late 1800s and this and that, and it is bizarre how many there are, and yet how many times you go to paint, I'm going to paint the Ninth Legere in the waning days of 1813.
Right.
And I have nothing in my whole collection that tells me about XYZ, chunk of their uniform. And it's just kind of baffling.
You have about 4,000 plates, which equates to roughly 2% of all the uniforms, right?
Right. Yeah, and so there's that aspect of it, that the uniforms are hard and that the information is hard to get together. And if you get it together, it's not convenient.
Right.
That collection of plates I've got, a lot of them are digital. A lot of them are spread across many, many books.
Right.
And when you sit down at your painting table, having a computer that you're paging through image files and then a stack of 6 or 8 books is not a very relaxing way to paint.
Right.
And similarly, there aren't a lot of scenario products,
right,
that aren't written. Those that exist are in for specific rule sets.
Yeah.
And they don't have to be used with those rule sets. There's nothing that makes, you get a scenario book for General de Brigade and you could use it for Empire, you could use it for Napoleon at War, you could use it with LaSalle, you could use it with whatever you like, but it's going to take some legwork.
Right.
And we thought, well, we could improve on that.
Yeah.
We could help people. What do they need in a scenario book? What do you really want? If you're not doing if you're going to do this without limits, how are you going to do it?
Right.
What is it that you want in it? And so that was sort of how we sat down to piece things together. And a lot of people don't have as many resources as they'd like.
Right.
They don't have, 15 maps of Lutzen to compare. To say these sources claim that they're here and these sources claim that they're here, and these sources claim that this guy wasn't even on the field.
Right.
And they don't want to spend all that. I mean, going back to having fun laying on your living room floor, sometimes that's fun, and sometimes it is infuriating.
Especially when you have to deal with all the conflicting accounts of who was where and what happened.
Yes. And what we're doing is by no means some sort of definitive historical work. I'm not a trained historian. But we're trying to do the best that we can to increase the accessibility. And so the way that we're doing that is whatever resources we can use that we know that aren't available to lots of people, let's bring those together as best as we're able and see if we can increase the standard of what's available on the market for people.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. So with y'all's setup, one of the obviously the big things that y'all do is you do have a set of rules. Now I'm gonna butcher this, I'm sure. Et sans resultat?
Yes.
All right. So my 1.5 semester of French in high school paid off a little bit.
Oh, you're ahead of me. My wife speaks French. I can read. She can read it as well, which is incredibly handy. But I can read it enough that I can read troop returns and forms just fine. But if you give me, some random marshal's report to describe what's going to happen, I'm going to go, okay, so now I need to go talk to somebody who actually knows what this means.
Well, so tell me, what does that mean?
The title. The title is a quote from Marshal Ney, after the close at the Battle of Eylau in 1807. And it's a piece of the quote. The full quote translates to what a massacre and all for nothing.
Right.
There's two translations of it that I've read. One's more literal and one's more figurative, I want to say is the correct way to label it. And the second one is what a massacre and without result.
Right, which my French didn't help me with. My Latin helped a little bit, so I thought that was probably what it was. But yeah.
And so the literal translation of it is without result. And yet, some people have taken it to mean that I must be a big Marshall May fan, which I'm not an incredible Marshall May fan. He's interesting. I don't have any big problems with him, but that wasn't the impetus for it. The impetus was that maybe it's that I have a strange sense of humor, but the thing that, we play war games, and to some degree, we are simulating war.
Right.
And war is historically sometimes useful more so than others, oftentimes not.
Right.
And so I found it ironically funny, sadly funny,
right,
that we don't really want our games to be too close, because if they're too close, they're not actually fun, because most battles are indecisive.
Right.
Most wars don't bring about wonderful results.
Right.
But we want our war games to be decisive, and we want our war games to conclude in a result. And so in a lot of ways, we're trying to simulate a thing by avoiding the core characteristics of it.
Right.
And so that was sort of the impetus of the title, is that wars may be without result, but war games don't have to be. They're games. They are fun relaxation that can help us better understand some of the things that transpired in many ways, and they can have results.
Yeah. Well, and I will say, one of the things that I kind of, gleaning what I could of the title, I kind of thought that perhaps one of the benefits of playing your rule set would be that I might actually play a Napoleonics game and have some sort of result.
Yes, it does tend to be pretty decisive.
All right, so no more 16 hours of playing Empire, and at the end we're still just as unevented as we were at the beginning.
I have a good friend who says he once played. Oh, what the heck was it? I don't remember what rule set, and I don't remember how long it was. But he played for X number of hours, and he marched 22 inches and killed one Frenchman.
Right.
And that's not. Nobody plays the second time.
You might get someone to come to that game one time, but they're not coming back again.
Right. And, that's sort of part of the baggage of Napoleonic wargaming, is that there is, whether it's right or wrong, there is a very strong perception that Napoleonic games suffer from that.
Right.